What do you picture when you think of a monster? Is it someone lurking in the shadows, their face twisted with rage? Someone loud, violent, obviously dangerous? We're taught to look for the warning signs. But the most terrifying monsters are the ones who don't look like monsters at all. They look like us. They look like John Norman Collins. In the late 1960s, if you were a student in Michigan, you might have seen him around campus. He was clean-cut, well-spoken, and friendly. He was just another college guy, the kind of person you'd feel comfortable asking for directions or accepting a ride from. He blended in perfectly. He wasn't a stalker hiding in dark alleys. He didn't need to be. He was a master of disguise hiding in plain sight. And that was his most dangerous weapon. John Norman Collins had a normal upbringing. There was no traumatic childhood, no broken home, none of the typical red flags you hear about in true crime stories. What he did have was a gift for gab. He knew how to talk to people, how to put them at ease, and most importantly, he knew how to make young women trust him. As he moved between the bustling college towns of Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor, he became part of the scenery. He knew the streets, the popular hangouts, and the daily routines of the students. He didn't have to hunt for his victims. He just had to wait for opportunities to present themselves. And they always did. It all started in the summer of 1967. Mary Therese Flesser, a bright 19-year-old student, went out for a simple walk. She wasn't doing anything risky or unusual. She just never came back. For weeks, her family and friends were left with a horrifying silence. Then, her body was discovered in a rural, isolated area, far from where she had last been seen. Someone had taken her, moved her, and left her where she wouldn't be easily found. At the time, the police had no idea what they were dealing with. Was it a random act of violence? A tragic accident? But for Collins, this first crime taught him a crucial lesson. It was disturbingly easy to make someone disappear. After that, he didn't stop. He refined his methods. He stuck to the college campuses, places filled with young women who were independent but also vulnerable. In the 60s, it was still common to trust strangers, especially someone who looked like a fellow student. Hitchhiking was a normal way to get around. This culture of trust was the perfect environment for a predator like Collins. A year later, in the summer of 1968, 20-year-old Joan Shell needed a ride. She decided not to wait for the bus, a decision thousands of students made every day. She got into a car. Witnesses later recalled seeing her with a couple of young men who looked like typical college students. They seemed normal, safe. Days later, her body was found dumped on the side of a road. For Collins, this confirmed his strategy. A brief encounter, a quick buildup of trust, and no witnesses who could remember anything suspicious. The pattern was taking shape, even if no one had connected the dots yet. By 1969, a quiet fear had started to creep across southeastern Michigan. Young women were disappearing with alarming regularity, and the locations all circled the same college towns. Collins was moving with confidence now, perhaps too much confidence. The more he got away with, the bolder he became. In March of that year, the case took another dark turn. Jane Mixer was a 23-year-old law student. She was smart, cautious, and aware of her surroundings. She told her friends she was getting a ride from someone she thought she knew, which offered a small comfort. But she never made it to her destination. Her body was later found in a cemetery. This particular crime had details that felt different from the others, leading some investigators to question if it was connected. But what mattered was the terrifying reality. Another young woman was gone, and a killer was still walking free. The community had barely had time to process Jane's death when the killer struck again, just days later. Marilyn Skelton was only 16 years old. She disappeared after hitchhiking near a shopping center. Her body was found quickly, almost too quickly. The speed of the discovery sent a shockwave of panic through the area. This wasn't a series of isolated incidents or tragic coincidences. It was clear now. Someone was actively hunting young women. Then came the moment that changed everything. In April 1969, Dawn Louise Basom, just 13 years old, vanished, a child. She was last seen in the same college environment where the other victims had disappeared. Her body was found the very next day. This was the tipping point. The murder of a 13-year-old girl turned quiet fear into widespread terror. Parents refused to let their daughters walk alone. Students stopped going out after dark. The carefree campus atmosphere was replaced by suspicion and dread. The media finally gave the predator a name, a serial killer. And all the while, John Norman Collins was still walking around, looking like the kind of person you'd ask for help. The killing didn't stop. In June, 21-year-old graduate student Alice Colomb went out and never returned. Her body was discovered in a field near an abandoned house, a secluded spot that only someone with local knowledge would know. By now, the pattern was undeniable. The victims were all young women. The locations were all tied to the college towns. The bodies were left in isolated places. The person responsible knew the area intimately. John Norman Collins lived there. He was part of that world. Finally, the predator made a fatal mistake. His last known victim was 18-year-old Karen Sue Beinman. When she disappeared after leaving her apartment to buy a wig from a nearby shop, something was different. Karen knew John Norman Collins. She trusted him. Witnesses saw them together. This time, investigators had a solid lead, a direct connection. They had a timeline. They had a suspect who couldn't just blend back into the crowd. Collins' charisma, his greatest weapon, was finally useless. He couldn't talk his way out of this one. When he was arrested, Collins denied everything. He played the part of the wrongfully accused, shocked that anyone could think him capable of such horrors. In court, prosecutors were convinced he was responsible for a string of murders that had terrorized the state. But building a case for each one was incredibly difficult. The evidence was circumstantial for many of the crimes. Ultimately, they could only secure a conviction for one murder, Karen Sue Beineman. He was sentenced to life in prison. John Norman Collins was locked away, but the story never truly ended. The questions remain. To this day, people debate how many lives he really took. Was he the sole perpetrator of all the Michigan murders? Or was there another killer operating at the same time, their crimes masked by the panic Collins created? The complete truth is buried somewhere in the past, lost between decades-old evidence, the killer's silence, and the lingering fear he left behind. And that's what makes this story so profoundly disturbing. It serves as a chilling reminder that evil doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it offers you a ride home. John Norman Collins didn't look like a monster. He looked like everyone else. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into complex cases. Stay safe out there.